Jika anda microsleep.
Disputed issues could create racial disharmony. Subsidized flight tickets to Sabah, Sarawak and Labuan. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight. I am Olivia Nicholas. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said he had instructed newly appointed Health Minister Datuk Seri Zulkifli Ahmad to monitor the COVID-19 situation in the country, although the increase was not serious. Met today, the Prime Minister reiterated for the public to continue to practice good hygiene.
Dia telah pantau walaupun kesannya tidak begitu serius, tapi dia minta orang waspadalah, jadi jaga kesihatan.
COVID-19 cases increased to 12,757 in the 49th epidemiological week from 3rd to 9th December from 6,796 in the previous week. The admission rate for COVID-19 patients, including suspected cases to healthcare facilities, increased 1.4% from the previous week, while intensive care unit ICU bed occupancy also rose by 1.4%. On another note, Datuk Seri Anwar reminded the opposition bloc not to play issues that could create racial disharmony and disputes. He was commenting on Bersatu Youth Chief Wan Ahmad Faizal, Wan Ahmad Kamal's call for a constitutional amendment so that only the Malays can become Prime Minister. The remark was made following DAP veteran politician Tan Sri Lim Kit Siang's posting in his blog titled "A Malaysian Constitution Provides for a Malaysian Dream and Not a Mono-Ethnic Dream, as it provides that a non-Malay can be a Prime Minister."
Seperti juga yang diwar-warkan pembangkang soal persepadanan semula, macam perkara tak berbangkit pun. Dia cuma nak laga-lagakan, nak bagi orang Melayu marah, nak bagi orang Cina marah. Tak bangkit. Dia tak faham perlembagaan. Perlembagaan membolehkan kita mengkaji semula hanya pada akhir 2026. Dia nak sibuk ni pasal apa? Carilah modal, bantu bagaimana nak angkat ekonomi, nak kurangkan beban rakyat. Jangan duk ajak gaduh aja. Tak letih ke?
The government has agreed to subsidize the purchase of economy class flight tickets exceeding 599 ringgit for a one-way trip from the peninsula to Sabah, Sarawak and Labuan for 3 days before Christmas. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the initiative will come into effect at 12:01 a.m. on 16th of December for 22nd to 24th of December flights. Elaborating further on the matter, the minister said the same subsidy will continue next year for Chinese New Year, Aidilfitri, Kemantan Festival, Gawai Day and Christmas, with tickets available for purchase starting at 12:01 a.m. on the 1st of January next year. However, the subsidy does not include taxes and fees. For economy class flight tickets that exceed 599 ringgit, Loke said the government will pay the price difference between the original price of the air ticket and the maximum price. He also said the Malaysian Aviation Commission, MAVCOM, was responsible for the secretarial and payment matters under the subsidy initiative. Without disclosing the actual financial implications, Loke said the government will provide millions of ringgit for each festive season, and the public can purchase air tickets to the websites of domestic airlines such as Air Asia, Firefly, Malaysia Airlines, Berhad and Batik Air. The Congress of Union of Employees in the Public and Civil Service, QPACs, urged the government to promptly implement the proposed salary adjustments for civil servants rather than waiting until 2025, as stipulated in Public Service Remuneration System Study. QPACs President Dr. Adnan Mat said, as long as the adjustment to the salaries of civil servants is not implemented, the pension adjustment for retired civil servants also cannot be carried out, hence relying solely on the government's current consideration, such as a special appreciation for pensioners initiative. According to the government's time frame, the study, which began in July this year, is expected to be finalized in October next year, while its implementation will only be carried out in 2025. QPACs believes that this time frame is too long and the government should give high priority to this issue because it involves the welfare of about 1.6 million serving civil servants and over 700,000 government pensioners. Describing the Malaysian remuneration system implemented in 2002 as an old framework that is no longer suitable for the current economic environment. Dr. Adnan said civil servants now require a new salary system to help them cope with the rising cost of living. Malaysia's total supply in use registered an increase of 13.2% year-on-year to 4.6 trillion ringgit in 2021, reflecting the country's ability to withstand the continuous economic challenges. Chief Statistician Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzair Mahidin noted the double-digit annual growth reflected a gradual recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic as the Malaysian economy reopened. Summarizing the performance of 2021 on the supply side, he said the increase was propelled by domestic production, which registered a value of 3.61 trillion ringgit, and imports posted a value of 981.9 billion ringgit. In terms of contribution, he said domestic production contributed significantly at 78% in 2021, while imports and net taxes on products recorded a share of 21.2% and 0.8% respectively. The domestic production was driven by the manufacturing sector with 45%. On the use side, the final use recorded 54.7%, while intermediate use posted 45.3%. The final use rose 15% from 2.2 trillion ringgit in 2020 to 2.53 trillion ringgit in 2021. Within the component of final use, exports contributed the most with 43.2%, to be followed by private consumption with 35.5%. Intermediate use increased by 11% to 2.10 trillion ringgit as compared to 1.9 trillion ringgit in 2020. On another note, Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzair said the production of crude oil and condensate amounted to 40.9 million barrels in the third quarter of this year, which was higher by 0.3% compared to a year ago. He said the increase was primarily contributed by the condensate with 16.2% growth after registering 11.3% in the previous quarter. In terms of composition, Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzair said crude oil contributed the most with 72.1%, or equivalent to 33.1 million barrels, while condensate encompassed 27.9%, or 12.8 million barrels. He further said natural gas production contracted by 2.1% in this quarter, while the production of crude oil and condensate expanded by 0.9% in comparison with the previous quarter. Elaborating on the performance of external trade, Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzair said the export value of crude petroleum and condensate increased to 7.8 billion ringgit in the third quarter from 6.5 billion ringgit in the last year's corresponding quarter. The import value of crude petroleum and condensate decreased to 12.5 billion ringgit in this quarter, with more than half was imported from Saudi Arabia, followed by the United Arab Emirates and the US. Up to 63% of employees in Malaysia saw generative artificial intelligence, Gen AI, would improve their way of working flexibly, with 70% either currently using or planning to use Gen AI in the next 12 months. And Ernst & Young EY survey said Malaysian employers and also shared the same sentiment, with the 84% expecting Gen AI to enhance working flexibility and 96% either currently using or planning to use the technology within the next year. According to the fourth series of EY 2023 Work Reimagined survey, while Gen AI is still being realized, there is a growing momentum and generally a positive outlook on how the technology will impact new ways of working. EY said while there is an intention among employers to incorporate Gen AI in the near future, there is a substantial gap in upskilling and reskilling the workforce in the technology. It noted that it is imperative to accelerate the training of essential skills to build Gen AI capabilities while fostering the ethical and responsible use of it in the workforce. The survey also finds over a third of employees in Malaysia are likely to quit their jobs in the next 12 months, driven by better overall well-being programs, greater flexibility for remote work, and more competitive salary packages elsewhere. To safeguard the essential workforce, employers must proactively address the evolving expectations and priorities of their workers. The Malaysian Palm Oil Board MPOB will be organising the Palm Oil Economic Review and Outlook Seminar RNO 2024 on the 11th of January next year to disseminate information related to the performance of Malaysia's oil palm industry in 2023 and the market and price outlook for 2024. MPOB Director General Datuk Dr. Ahmad Parviz Gulam Kadir will present a paper on the performance of the oil palm industry in 2023 and the outlook for 2024. RNO 2024 will focus on mechanization and automation in oil palm plantations, the impact of global challenges on palm oil supply and demand, as well as the prospect and future outlook of palm oil. Themed Meeting Global Needs with Sustainable Palm Oil, the annual event will also deliberate on the Malaysian oil palm industry's commitment to sustainable development while fulfilling global needs. Meanwhile, oils and fats expert Dr. Julian McGill of Glenelg Economics will share his thoughts on the market prospect and price outlook of palm oil for 2024. Industry players involved in the palm oil and other oils and fats industry, including research and development personnel, planters, millers, traders, manufacturers, exporters, economists, policymakers, and academicians, are encouraged to participate in this seminar. Short-term interbank rates closed steady today on Bank Negara Malaysia (BNM) operations to absorb surplus liquidity from the financial system. Liquidity in the conventional system eased to 34.21 billion ringgit from 34.37 billion ringgit this morning, while liquidity in Islamic funds improved to 32.40 billion ringgit from 30.80 billion ringgit previously. Earlier, the central bank called for a conventional money market tender, 2 card tenders and 2 reverse repo tenders. It also announced the availability of reverse repo sale and buyback agreements and collateralized commodity murabaha facilities for tenures of 1 to 3 months. At 4 p.m, BNM called for a 34.20 billion ringgit conventional money market tender and a 32.40 billion ringgit murabaha money market tender, both for 3-day money. The Malaysia Islamic overnight rate stood at 3% as of 14th of December. According to a dealer, the Malaysian rubber market ended the last trading day of the week on a higher note, in tandem with regional rubber futures markets. She said the positive sentiment was supported by expectations that the United States U.S. Federal Reserve (FED) will cut interest rates next year. Commenting further on the matter, the dealer said the FED's signal of interest rate cuts next year may encourage international investors to reallocate their funds to Malaysia in search of higher returns. She said some economists said Malaysia would benefit from the possible rate cuts as a lower interest rate could spur lending and spending in the US, prompting higher demand for Malaysian products, she told Bernama. Nevertheless, she said further gains were capped by China's mixed economic performance. The Malaysian Rubber Board's MRB price for standard Malaysian rubber 20 SMR 20 was up 4 cent to 672.5 cent per kilogram kg, while latex in bulk increased 1 cent to 537.0 cent per kg. At 5 p.m., the reference price for physical SMR 20 stood at 671.0 cent per kg, while latex in bulk was at 536.5 cent per kg.